Check 1 2, check 1 2. Miami on the Rocks, Casey Chops. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at MIA on the Rocks. Follow us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Today's guest, I think this is the first person I've had in here for the third time. DJ Konflikt. How are you, sir?
Good, man.
Thank you for pulling up. I always feel like I have to touch base with you once a year. You're like the DJ kind of like correspondent. We can talk about music, art. We could talk about the business of it, the climate, and everything that's going on. So, you know, I like to have you on. I just saw your podcast with the Club Killers podcast. Shout out to them. That's a new podcast that was pretty dope.
Late Night Legends. That's the name of it. Yeah, it's right now it's on YouTube, but eventually I think they're going to start doing audio, or they want to do video on Spotify. So I asked him because honestly, I was
video on Spotify.
Yeah, like Rogan.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but I think they're in the like process of getting that done. So Late Night Legends, Club Killers, right now it's on YouTube, but eventually, hopefully they get the video approved for Spotify.
I like the topics you guys touched. You've gotten good feedback from that?
Yeah, I was checking the comments on the way here, honestly, because I don't really listen back to the podcast that I put out. I just feel like, you know, I just talk from my heart and whatever happens. So I don't have to like look back and be like, oh, what did I say? It's like, you know, I just repeat myself over and over. I guess it's the same stuff. But I was listening to it, and yeah, there was a lot of topics touched that pertain to nightlife, man. What did you think? What did you take from it?
I loved it. I love the what I liked is that I like that we're not in the whole country is kind of feeling the same thing more or less. It's not like we're in Miami. It's good to know that in Miami the same struggles that we're having are more or less the same struggles we're having in Vegas, New York. It's kind of like the same thing, you know? So it's not like, damn, do I have to move? Or, you know, it's not one of those things.
Unless you're in Nashville.
Yeah, that's what we just talked about. Nashville's hot right now.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Like the downtown Nashville entertainment scene is crazy. There's dozens of venues, and it's not just like a single story or a single nightclub. Like a lot of these venues have 3 stories, live band on the bottom, then there's a club in the middle, and then there's a rooftop that's open. And I'm telling you, they shut down the street, and it looks like Mardi Gras every Friday and Saturday.
Did they close at 2? Sorry to interrupt.
I believe they close a little bit later. They might have 3.
Okay. What other, like, aside from Nashville, can you name maybe 2 other sleeper markets that you think are like for DJs?
Scottsdale has always been kind of a party town, and it's got a really dope nightlife ambiance and like an entertainment center. And San Diego also has a lot of venues. I would say that what we're missing right now in the market as an overall dynamic is like the go-to. Like, what is that venue that everyone's like, yo, that's the spot, right?
But in every market, you're saying basically?
No, just one. Like, for example, when Hakkasan opened, right? When Hakkasan opened and they announced like Calvin Harris is the resident DJ, Hakkasan Las Vegas, or when, you know, 11, which is still, you know, one of the top nightclubs in the country, but it's like 10 or 11 years old at this point. So it is not immune to the passage of time, which all nightclubs, you know, go through a thing where they're super uber popular and then they kind of plateau, and eventually, unless you're tongue and groove in Atlanta, which is turning 30 soon.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, bro. That's a crazy stat.
Yeah.
That might be is that the oldest club in the country?
I don't know, but I hope they keep going. I would love for them to have that title.
It's like a ChatGPT question.
It's still popping too.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah, the last club I could think that maybe had that type of hype was like Live in Vegas when it was opening, and you know,
Live in Vegas probably still like the cool kid club going on right now. Also, you have what is the Palm Tree Club?
Oh yeah,
Day Club.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, I heard about that.
I'm gonna look it up just so I don't butcher the name, because
Palm Tree Club. I'm almost positive that's the name.
I don't want to butcher it because, you know, it's important. I guess we're still in the business, right?
Yeah.
Palm Tree Beach Club.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's Palm Tree, Miami, and then there's one in Vegas. So like that's the new cool kid spot, right? And I think Kygo is an investor or part owner, and so he takes, you know, his reputation and his notoriety as a DJ and like one of the top guys, and just like diversifies into nightlife. And now,
have you heard of that spot Casa Neo here?
Casa Neo? No, I'm removed from the hip spots, man. Honestly.
Well, this is interesting. Their model, they have a subscription that you cannot get in unless you're like a member.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's not a new concept though.
Yeah. Really? Like what clubs have you heard in the past that were kind of...
So members only clubs have been around forever.
Yeah, we've been had like what is the main one that everyone goes to that have a member all around the country?
Soho House. Yeah. So you have Soho House, and you have one here that's on Miami Beach. I think it's like just before the Fontainebleau. So you have members only clubs, and they used to, or they still are. I don't know because I don't go, but they have cool music, cool food, and it's very exclusive. You have to pay yearly membership and all these things. And I'm removed from that stuff. Like I'm more of honestly, man, I don't mean anything bad by this, but I've always, to anyone that's in upper management or owners, but I've always gotten along better with like the bathroom attendants and the security guards and the suite. I'm more of an everyday person. I like GA. I like people that are there to party and have a good time. I was lucky enough for a really long time in my career, and probably still, to play like high-end venues that offer premium service and premium clientele. But for me, I always feel more at home like doing basic stuff. Like,
it's just, you know what it is that I think it's safe to say it's impossible to evoke the type of energy you get from just a dance floor GA crowd than to have people segmented into tables. You cannot pull that type of energy when people are segmented in tables. I just feel like
I agree.
That's why I loved Wynwood, places like Brick. I did Blackbird last night, straight dance floor, just a sea of people, bro. And you can't even walk through that shit, but you get that energy because people are connected,
Yeah. I have, look, there's like this really interesting sector of nightlife where it's like in the Hamptons. It used to be there, maybe still is, places in Los Angeles where you get uber wealthy or uber famous people, right? And there's no phones, there's no cameras, but they go and like they dance and they just have a good time.
Like wealthy bottle type people in a GA crowd.
Exactly. But it's so that might be like kind of the members only thing, right? So I've heard stories from my buddies in Los Angeles, and maybe I should call him up at some point to get like the details right. But I think it was Graham Funky that told me, who's part of the Captains of Industry with Stone Rock. He told me that there was a spot in LA where there would just be actors just dancing to disco because it's a private spot. And they don't have to worry about like looking goofy, looking dumb, or paparazzi or cameras, because no one would be like, oh, we're all going to go party or come, it's like, nah, this is just, we're going to go have a regular good time being uber famous, wealthy people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of dope.
Yeah.
That's kind of
a full circle, because they don't want the phones. They don't.
Right.
And so I read an article and it said Vegas lost, I think it said Vegas was down like 30% net profit year over year from last year.
Which might be a statistic that applies to a lot of Miami venues too.
Right. So when I read that was the first sign where I was like, okay, everyone is really feeling this. And I know you talked about it in the last podcast you did, and it's due to a number of factors. I think the economy, and then just culturally. I think those are the two main.
The relationship between the younger generations and alcohol consumption. That's what it is. I think business models for nightclubs today are centered around alcohol consumption. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. Because at the same time, it is fun to get loose, to take the edge off, and consume a substance that might do something to your body that changes it up a little bit, right? Alcohol might not be the best one. Like there might be better substances.
And you know what the best substance is for Gen Z, and this is probably the third factor that I will tie into this problem:
TikTok,
social media, because but without social media before these things, your dopamine centers weren't shot already. So going out, you got that dopamine high, like we're gonna go out tonight. Sure. But with TikTok and with social media, people are on their screens 10 hours a day, even more, and we're just getting zapped with cheap dopamine that going out is not exciting anymore, like to this generation.
Sure. It's not exciting. So now you've lost the dopamine. It's not necessary because you can meet people online, and you're not drinking as much as you used to. So what really is a social setting offering you, right? But I think that places like John Boy, Goodnight John Boy, which we have, this is great. I didn't have anything to plug, but now I do.
Yeah, go.
There's a club opening up in Delray, and it's called Goodnight John Boy. And it's one of many around the country. There's one in St. Petersburg, Florida. There's one in Cleveland. There's one in Columbus. They have one in Chicago, one in San Diego. And the one that's opening up in Delray is opening May 15th. So I don't know when this podcast will air, but I will be there for the grand opening. And it's a disco bar. And they all are. Because they focus on the experience musically more so than anything else. Format is strictly disco. Strictly originals with very few deviations, slight deviations throughout the night, and they are crushing it everywhere. Specifically because if you are a regular person and you're not keeping up with nightlife marketing, right? You don't know if you go out on a Friday what you're going to get, right? If you happen to go out to Dare and when you were DJing for 50 Cent and Aoki's on the inside, you might be paying kind of a premium at the door. If you're an average person, maybe those two acts are not interesting to you. And you go, oh man, I came out here for the club. Now, a lot of people are interested in Aoki and 50. I'm not saying that they're not draws at all. Right. What I'm saying is maybe there's someone out there that doesn't want to pay $100 or $50 or $40 for a cover, and they just want to go party because it's somebody's birthday or it's somebody's anniversary. Well, if you go to John Boy, you're going to get the same thing every night. And it's not bad to get the same thing every night when the quality of the product is good.
Right. That's kind of what, I mean, on a smaller scale, that's kind of what Brick was for so long. It was the hip hop club in Wynwood when no one wanted to touch you. You knew what you were getting every single day. And yeah, you built a brand like that. I didn't want to go to this topic, but you kind of pivoted that way with what you just mentioned, disco. So I'm doing a gig on Friday in Palm Beach as well, and it's all house. It's nothing below 120 BPM, and I'm assuming, I mean, disco was like a 110 and above, right? You can go a little lower.
There's a couple disco labeled tracks that are under that. Excuse me. There's a couple of disco tracks that are under that, but I think the majority of it is between 110 and like 135. You have outliers, right? But yeah.
So, okay. So yeah, I'm basically going to touch Friday, nothing probably under 118 beats per minute. And this is where I go to, bro. This will be my 4th gig that I've played on sticks.
Oh, good for you.
Without the laptop. So
I have a question.
Okay.
About it. Can you quantize like the music on the sticks? Or are you like actively like mixing in your headphones?
So I'm not gonna lie, I've probably unlocked maybe 50% of a CDJ 3000's capability. So you probably can, but the first time I did it, I just threw all my songs on an MP3. I mean on a flash drive, not knowing. And then what I didn't realize is that
record box interfaces, and you have like a direct.
Well, none of my cue points were there. So. But I was playing house music, and I'm playing 4 or 5 minutes of these songs. So they're just journeys. So I just got to cue with the one and just mix it in. You know, I didn't have to switch different places. So now I have Record Box, and now I got to subscribe to this shit called Lexicon. I don't know if you heard of it.
I haven't.
So basically, if you take all your Serato crates and put them in Record Box, the cue points don't transfer over. So you got to set all the cue points. So what this Lexicon shit does is imports from Serato with all your cue points, then to Record Box, all your cue points will be there, then export it to the flash drive, and all your stuff will be there.
Nerd alert on the podcast.
Yeah.
No, but that's beautiful. So the reason why I ask about quantizing is because a lot of the disco tracks that I have are just originals.
Oh yeah,
so there's no quantizing.
Like metronome. It's not
Yeah. So you have to mix by ear, which I think is kind of what might give us a job for like the next decade, because.
Yeah, unless AI finds a way to fucking quantize that shit.
No, you could do that, I'm sure. But look, here's the perfect AI scenario, in my opinion, for a nightclub. You have to have biometric scans. Like you have to have cameras in the club that can identify pulse rates of people, identify body heat, identify potentially blood pressure and movement. Because that way it'll be able to distinguish when to bring the energy up and when to bring
you took it deep.
and when to bring the energy down.
Yeah. That's crazy, bro.
Because if otherwise anyone can program a set list, right? Like right now, I'm sure that there's a program on the internet or somewhere where you and I can make a playlist and be like, play this in order, right? Or even if we wanted to make it in Ableton, like a 4-hour set, and just show up at 11 and hit play. But is that going to correlate directly with what's happening in the moment?
So I agree, and I'm with you 100%, but to get a club owner to understand that, I feel like it's impossible.
Well, it's okay. But those are the ones that won't last.
Exactly. Yeah. Damn, bro. Have you ever thought about going on? It's crazy. Like, I started my DJ career like the week Serato came out. So I've never DJed without a computer screen.
That's amazing.
And it was.
So what was that,
2007?
Oh, no. Serato was around before that.
I remember
not by much. Let me fact check myself.
So when I first started interning at Power 96, Zog was doing the traffic jam. I'm there in the thing, and maybe for the first week he was using his records on crates, and then he brought his computer like a week into my internship, and he's like, so maybe it came out 06, maybe a year.
So Serato's first product, Pitch in Time, was released in 1999. The company was founded in 98, and Scratch Live. Serato Scratch Live, which allowed digital mixing on turntables, was released in 2004.
Okay.
So you're not off by a lot, but I knew it was a little earlier because I used to DJ on records. Like I would bring crates to the club, and I would actually, back in the day, like if you're playing from 11 to 5, fucking, I find myself back in the day, kids.
Yeah.
Sorry, but it's true. What we used to do is I used to have like 4 friends because I had 150 records per crate. So I only did it one time by myself, and I was like, never again. So now you would get, 3 or 4 of your guy friends, and they would carry crates and get into the club for free.
When the Serato talk was happening, were you a little resistant, or were you on it quick? Were you
I was a little resistant at first because I was like, I don't know about this, because all of the guys that I looked up to were still playing on records. So I knew it existed, and I actually went with a program called Final Scratch first, which was by Stanton, which was the same concept.
That was the first one we all went on. I don't think Serato DJ existed, didn't exist. It was all Scratch Live.
That is murky for me. So I'm sorry, not Scratch Live. Final Scratch. That was a product by Stanton.
Okay.
Yeah. So Final Scratch by Stanton was the first program that I had. And it was only because the DJ I played with on Fridays at Opium Garden, I was in the Red Room, used the same program. So to make the exchange easier, I just did it. Now, not Final Scratch, I'm sorry. What was it called? Stanton. Was it called Final Scratch? That's the right name. Sorry. Okay. It's just that there's so many scratch words in Final Scratch and Scratch
terms
Live.
That you could use for
so
DJ.
Anyway, I hopped onto that program because it was easier to switch, and I was there every Friday. So I was like, I don't want to have to continuously be switching RCAs and whatever. And the cool thing about Final Scratch from Stanton, hopefully I got that right, is that it did not have like the waves showing. So you actually had to like mix with your ears still. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a cool kid, but I'll still be a purist because I'll DJ like this instead of having BPMs shown and the grid in the middle where you can match up the waves. But eventually, Serato just took everybody, until I guess Record Box, Serato was the #1 program.
Yeah. I don't see if I'm playing everything above 120 BPM, sticks are cool. And it's kind of cool, like to not have a computer screen in front of you. I can't shop on Amazon, but no, I'm joking. No, I have a confession to make. There's some boring ass DJ gigs where you're so fucking bored, and all DJ, we don't promote them, but some DJs, when money's tight and it's slow, you gotta
money's tight. I'll do them right now.
Like, right. But there's some boring ass gigs, bro, and I've shopped on Amazon before while I was at a gig. And have you seen the new iPhone mirror thing?
No, but you told me about this.
Yeah, I was a guy who I probably lost maybe a job or two back in the day of just being on my phone too much at those boring gigs. But now you could just mirror your phone onto your screen. So now I'm just on my phone on the screen, and it looks like I'm DJing, which is, I don't know why. Probably shouldn't be saying this. But
Can I pause for a second, because there might be an important lesson here in regards to like you mentioned like boring gigs and like stuff that DJs don't promote. I would just like to say for any DJs out there that are just starting out, if you're young, you don't have to take my advice, but I've been around for quite a many years, and let me tell you, from someone that's been like on the lower end and some would consider the higher end, there's no gig that is beneath you. Like, it's okay to take gigs if you got to make some money and you're trying to get to the next level. It's okay. I just watched an Instagram story about somebody that won a Grammy for producing a song, and they found out while they were on their Amazon route, like delivering packages.
Wow.
And that's, sometimes it takes an amount of time to get from the place where you are now to the place where you don't have to do things you don't want to do. Some people never achieve that.
Right.
While you're on that journey, don't ever think that you're above $1. And I don't want to sound preachy. I'm sorry if that does. But at the end of the day, if you're making $100 an hour, $50 an hour, like, my mom's a nurse, she's retired now, but at the end of her career, she was making like $40-something an hour, right? That's somebody that's been practicing with a degree for decades, right? Some lawyers will charge you $100 an hour. So if you're a DJ and you're able to get that, and you're in your 20s or you're younger, guys, it's good money.
That's what I wanted to bring up, because to go back to the last podcast you did, and that little clip, it was a good clip. It got viral. At the end of the day, there's nothing is beneath you if you're getting paid to play MP3s. You know what I mean?
Now that doesn't mean, if somebody offers you a sandwich and $20, like, go play.
Right.
Like, be educated in your market and understand what the market rates are. You can try to leave your house, and this is one of the examples I said on the podcast. But I said it a different way. You can try to leave your house for only $1,500 a gig. But if no one's paying you $1,500 a gig, you're never going to leave your house.
Right.
What's the market dynamics in your area? Like, what are people getting paid? Ask questions
Right.
in a way that a businessman would.
Right.
Like, you don't potentially go up to somebody that's selling a product. Like, if you're shopping for Rolexes on 47th Street in New York, and you go, how much is that Rolex? And they go, 20,000. You don't go, all right, I'll pay you.
Bargain with them. You can't. Yeah, there's no.
No, you can. But that's kind of like the negotiation that I think people don't recognize. So if a Rolex is for sale for 20 grand and you come in and you say, I'll pay you 5, there's a big window there, right?
Right.
They're probably going to say no to you.
Right.
Well, the same way goes if you're asking for something and the market's just not going to pay you.
Right.
Like you want to leave your house only when you make 1,500 or 5,000 or 10 grand.
I try not to think of it that way. And for me, there's definitely gigs that I'll take, but I won't promote them.
Sure.
Right. And I'll think to myself, bro, this gig on a Tuesday or a Monday will pay my groceries for the next 2 weeks. So
Sure.
why I won't promote it. No one will know I did it. And it's fine, like, and then if like, I know you brought up volume in your last episode. Volume is important too. So if that gig on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday is going to give you a weekly on a Monday, you don't understand how valuable a weekly is on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Those little gigs are the ones that take you over to the top. To maybe you still have to do your 9-to-5 job, but those little gigs will take you, okay, now I can do this full time. Because bro, that's another. Let's just say you do $300 depending on your market. Maybe that's an average on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You do that, that's $1,200. That's probably, that's your car payment. That's your insurance, your car payment and your insurance just for your Monday gig.
Sure.
Like that's how I try to think about it.
No, I completely agree. Maybe some of those gigs will never get to the point where you promote them because they just don't have a marketing value. But the value of the gig lies somewhere else, which is in paying for your car. And it also, it provides you value because you can say no. So now if your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are keeping you alive and you want a Saturday and you go, hey, I want to work on your Saturday. And they say, all right, the pay is $500. And you know that the market rate should be $750 or $800 or $1,000. You say, no, I'm okay. If you get it up to like $750, which is my fair market value, I would love to take a shot at playing your Saturday. So these gigs that have no marketing value have a different value in promoting some freedom and some choice and the option to say no.
And I'll even squeeze. I'll tell that maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if they don't want to pay me what I want, I'll say, okay, pay me, give me a dinner. Let me eat here too. Now bring my girl, bring the family, and we'll get a free dinner. That's another $100 that you got, saving. So I'll find ways to make it worth it for me.
That's a negotiation I recently had, actually.
Yeah.
There was a spot that opened up and it was, they explained to me the rates and the hours. And I was like, damn, it's a little bit long, right? And I was like, can we do this rate plus a food credit, right? So find the way to make the things that are presented to you have value instead of immediately dismissing them or immediately jumping on them and saying yes. Like I think, don't feel pressed. Again, the young guys out there, don't feel pressed to immediately accept things and don't feel pressed to immediately reject things. Like sit and maybe talk to somebody that's in the business. Find a DJ that you respect. Find someone that would potentially be a pseudo mentor and ask them, be like, yo, I'm getting this offer. Maybe don't say specifically because you don't want to imagine you're a young DJ and go, yo, this spot's offering me 1,000 for this. And the guy goes, 1,000. I mean, that means I can get 1,250. I'll be right back,
Yeah.
And then they take the thing, but protect yourself. But at the same time, ask questions because I think it's important. And if you find the right person to ask questions to, you can have a better pathway.
Well, I know I've had this conversation with you maybe 2 times, maybe even 3 about, Konflikt, I'm about to play here. Is this a good rate? Because I feel like that's, if I'm going to DJ somewhere that you're already playing at, I feel like it's respectful as, friends to tell you, what can I get out of this? Well, what can I get? That way I know I'm not undercutting you. That way I know, we need a union. We need to be a little more unionized as a DJ collective.
I agree. I think that there's a lot of, cause for guys to not be that way. Like, you asked me for something and I'm sure that in the moment I gave you like the best advice I could because I'm not upset that you're going to make money. Like I want you to go and push the market
Well,
up.
to be honest with you, I'm not going to say the name of the club, but now that I can recollect, I remember I was going to charge under what you told me to charge. And just that conversation with you, I think got me $200, $300 or more dollars,
And I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I had the same situation I want you to tell your story so I can understand it. But here's what happened with me. I was chasing a club for a really long time, and I finally landed it, and I played it without asking for rate, right? So then the day after the gig, I was lucky enough to have a couple people go to the booker and tell him, yo, this guy's amazing. You got to have him more often, because I hadn't been there in a really long time. And then the booker goes, all right, here's the rate. And the rate was the rate I was working for in 2014. And I go, oh man, thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to get more in. But by the way, this is the rate I was working for almost a decade ago. Is there any chance you can get me to here? Right. And I gave him that number. Why did I give him that number? Because I had spoken to their other resident DJ. And I said, yo, what are you doing for money when you work this night? And he told me his number. Now, I didn't undercut, but I sent $50 less. And why did I do that? Strategically and specifically with my business mind, I thought, all right, if someone in accounting sees a check for a name that they've never seen before, or they haven't seen in a decade, get paid as much as the resident that's been there every week for the last 10 years, they might go, who the fuck is this guy getting the same as, XYZ that we had to go to corporate for approval and blah, 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 right? But if the check is under that amount by just, it's not an undercut, it's $50.
Yeah.
Then they might be like, all right, this is just another one, no problem, and just let it slide through. Yeah. So in my mind, I was thinking like 3 steps ahead. Maybe I undercut myself out of dinner, but that was my situation. Like, what happened with your club?
In that particular situation?
When you asked me. Did you source it? Did they call you? How did that go down?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember first of all, what club was it? I remember calling you, and I just remember that, like, bro, what are you getting at this club, bro? On a Friday, and I remember you telling me, and in my mind, I was gonna go in lower than that, and I remember you telling me, you were like, yo, ask for this, and I did, and I got it,
right?
So that's the extent of the story, it wasn't. I can't remember surrounding details.
Yeah, but the reason why I ask is because sometimes when these things happen and like we're talking or I'm talking to someone, like I always have a story to tell, but I want to hear other people's story too.
Well, for example, off camera, we talked about I'm gonna do a travel gig at a venue that you already frequent. So this is gonna be a conversation that I'm gonna have with you in the future. Because I don't know what to ask for them. Yeah. So well, go to you.
That's beautiful, because I can tell you right off rip the amount that you're going to get and what ask for, which is just hotel reimbursement because they don't pay for your flight.
Okay.
Yeah. But but then you could pick, a mediumly nice hotel and not go too far down or too far up.
Yeah. So I want to go back to that the stick conversation, bro. Do you see yourself ever going full? No. No.
I can't.
What? So I think what I've concluded is that if you're playing 4-minute songs and you're mixing that at that pace, you can easily do sticks. But I've told myself, if I have to do an open format setting and move records fast, I won't be as good as sticks. But then I tell myself, it's just a learning curve. Once you get used to it, I'll probably eventually be able to move records fast in sticks. For you, why do you see that not being?
For me specifically, I keep a first aid kit in my car. I have a window breaker on my the visor that comes down to block the sun. If I'm going somewhere, I'll usually bring an extra bottle of water or, a bottle of water where I could just fill up water. Mm-hmm. So I like to be prepared for things that I don't know might happen. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've asked multiple times to people that play on sticks is, all right, so you're playing a venue that has a 4-hour set and you're only supposed to play off those sticks, right? Now, what happens if a $500,000 deal or a buyer comes in and goes, I want every single champagne bottle and I'm going to only buy it if you play this track off of this album in the next 10 minutes. What do I get? Is that ever going to happen? Probably no. Will I ever need that first aid kit in my car or that window breaker? Probably no. But if I'm upside down in a ditch, brother, I really want to have...
So you're saying the access to stream.
Sure.
The internet connection is what you're saying.
At some point, CDJs might allow you that.
I think they already do.
Great.
Right.
Fantastic. So then maybe that's the answer to the problem, right?
Okay.
To be able to do that. But I used to ask guys like, yo, what happens if you encounter a situation where they ask you for a song you don't have on the sticks? And they would say, well, I bring my computer with me. And I'm like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. So for you, it's not even about the your skill taking a hit or the... Like, if that wasn't the case, would you be down to play on sticks? Like, and not have a computer in front of your face? If that wasn't... If streaming CDs can... I'm pretty sure this can happen already, but if CDJs connect to the internet, boom, you're on Apple Music. Are you on Apple Music on your...
I'm not.
Are you logged into streaming on your Serato when you DJ? Not at all.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not going to beta test it. Like I will do it like second or third iteration. Like after 2 years, when everyone goes, hey man, this is fantastic. That's when I'll be like, all right, let me hop on this.
What did you guys do before Serato when that
So, well, first of all, when Scratch Live came out, they had a bunch of bugs. And iTunes interfacing with Serato was a huge problem. A lot of guys had a lot of issues with their libraries and music and songs messing up. And so I never used iTunes with Serato. I always did folders in my computer and just imported it into crates because I wanted to avoid that problem.
Right.
Eventually now, Apple Music went from iTunes to Apple Music. So it's, I don't know what happened to those people that were on iTunes. I have no clue. But, and then Serato Scratch Live went to Serato DJ. And for a while, Serato DJ was giving me problems. And I used to complain about it like pretty vocally. So, I'm a professional DJ. This program cannot be doing this while I'm playing, thousands of dollars worth of work in front of people. Eventually, they got it all dialed in and now it's pretty stable. I think Rekordbox is probably one of the more stable programs, but I've never seen people complain, but maybe it has to do with...
Do you know people who use Rekordbox?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not enough people use it to be able to get a complaint through the internet for me to see it.
Right.
But so what did we do? Dude, we beta tested the fuck out of everything that everyone uses today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I won't be the first. But if once they get it down, I'm in. I'm not opposed to changing.
I remember a fond memory, bro, when I was on maybe year 3 DJing and I DJ'd at Louis, a competition, and you were the judge. And I'll never forget what you told me. I prepped for this set. Bro, I feel like I killed that shit, bro. I felt like I should have won. I think I advanced 1 round and maybe lost the next round. I forgot what it was. But I remember you telling me, you're like, yo, you did a great job. Sounded amazing. But you have Serato face. Like I was glued to my screen. And that is me. Like, I'm just focused on what comes out. I always forget the showmanship part of DJing, So when I first did the couple of sets off sticks and I didn't have a computer screen in front of me, I'm like, I guess I dance now. Like, I guess I have to like figure out like what I do, I'm trying to like work on my dance moves and my little movements and then go to the screen, do a little thing. And then, I'll do the little EDM guy, like play with the reverb a little bit and try to, But yeah, so now with the sticks, it's like I'm doing, so Friday, I'm going to do a 5-hour set, all sticks, all on sticks. And I'm like, damn, like 5 hours is a lot. What am I going to do without a computer in front of me? I've had a computer in front of me for 15 years DJing, bro.
Let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
I use my computer sometimes as a way to not have to talk to people. Like when there's, it's a full nightclub and someone's really like trying to get your attention or they're holding something up or it's like, and I don't want to deal with that in the moment. I just will be like, I've tweeted before, like I can pretend I don't see you longer than you can hold your phone up.
What as far as musically goes, where are you at now? Just the cycle we're in, the climate we're in. I have a theory. I feel like first of all, I feel like open format DJs. First of all, are you optimistic about just the open format DJ and where things are going?
Yeah. I think I've come full circle to the point where I'm optimistic, mostly because of personal internal workings, because I've found there's no point in not being optimistic. The market's going to do what it's going to do, right? So why not live in a positive space while it's doing what it does?
Right. So my thing is, I feel like DJs are going to have to get, you're going to completely disagree with me, by the way, but I feel like DJs are going to have to get into artist mode and really start getting streams and having numbers behind your pitches to clubs, because I feel like music is getting, on the production side of things, it's getting so easy to produce. You're basically just loop building right now, and you could create a whole song just by combining different loops now. So we're gonna have a lot more DJs, a lot more producers, music makers in the market now because of how easy it is to produce. And I kind of see it in house music, and I think it's gonna creep over to open format as well, to where you're gonna have to have streams, you're gonna have to have numbers behind you to get booked. I think bookers are gonna start, people are gonna know, these are my Spotify streams, these are my SoundCloud streams.
I don't disagree with you. That's happening already. First, to your first point about music, that has been the case for years. Being able to loop things and loop packs and big EDM packs. There's a very famous song I think by Steve Angelo. It's called KNAS, Nas or Knaz or whatever. However, I think that's the name of it. But the entirety of the song comes from a sample pack. All he did was put it together and just released it.
Right, but now you can get vocals that are royalty free.
But it's not going to change anything. People have been faking the funk in music for years.
Right. But with AI and these AI tools, and it's getting so easy to just make a song and get it mastered.
I understand. I get what you're saying. I don't think there's a change. I don't think anything will be different. Look, man, I heard a story, and I don't know anything, and I'm not a musician. This is just what is it called? A short story that I heard, anecdote. I think it was Quincy Jones or someone was talking about Ringo, the drummer from the Beatles. And how they were trying to get a part and they were recording and they couldn't get it. And they were taking hours and hours. And Ringo's like, I'm going to go get lunch. And the producer was, I don't remember the producer. It might have been the one I mentioned. But so Ringo goes to lunch and then the producer calls in another disco drummer and goes, yo, man, come here. We got to blah, blah, blah. So Ringo comes back from lunch and he goes, play it back for me. And then they play it back and he goes, wow, that's really great. He's like, yeah, you fucking no talent having motherfucker. Like I put this other guy on and the drums sound a lot better. This stuff has been going. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just, let's say that it's not true. Let's say that there are sessionist musicians, which you know what they are, right? They're really good musicians that are not part of a band, but when you're going to record something on an album, you call them and you tell them, come do the drums, come do the guitar, come do the bass, because they're very good at recording, whereas the other members of that specific same band might be better at live or might not be as good, in a recording setting. So does that mean that's fake? Like this stuff with music has been going on forever, since before AI, since before DAWs, since before Ableton and Pro Tools. I don't think anything's going to change. And I don't think that a brunch spot on Sunday from 4 to 8 p.m. or from let's say 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. is going to go, what are your Spotify plays if you want to come play reggaeton for, moms that are here having champagne? Right. I don't see it.
Yeah, I just feel like we're at the mercy of, as open format DJs, we're in this hamster wheel and we're at the mercy of the music cycle. So, where you, with what you play, where do you see your open format sets right now? Are you leaning more toward house? Are you?
It's venue dependent.
Oh, okay.
It's completely venue dependent, and it's also crowd dependent.
Okay.
And then there's what management might want you to do. There's two things that are at play: what management or the owner wants you to do, and what's going to work. Sometimes you get lucky, and they're the same thing. Sometimes you're not lucky, and they're not.
Right.
So they tell you, no reggae music, and you play something with like a reggae beat, and you see like people start dancing. You're like, fuck.
Right.
Right, because they told you don't do it.
Right.
So now what management wants and what's going to work are two different things. Now, other times they go, do what you think is best.
Right.
Wow. Amazing.
See, my concern is that with the music cycle we're in the way music is kind of like fast food now and it's disposable, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, I would say a headlining set right now might consist of like 75% of old music that would probably looked at as opening music back in the days.
All day.
So what's happening now is that it's the people that can make the music sound different, and if you can create, different edits and create different remixes to make your shit sound different as an artist, that's what's gonna make you stand out. Because I'm not gonna lie, Konflikt, I keep playing. If I want to get, I have this conundrum. If I want to get energy, if I want to kill it, I'm going to be doing the things I've been doing for years. And there's something about that doesn't feel good to me. There's something about that makes me feel like I'm behind. I'm getting the best reaction I could be getting. And why am I still playing Pursuit of Happiness by, it's getting a reaction like it just came out more so than all these new records. So it's like I'm faced with a conundrum. Do I want to kill it but sound outdated? Or do I want to sound up to date but not evoke as much energy?
I completely understand your dilemma, and I want to offer you some advice, if I may. I grew up listening to rock music, and and then when I started dipping into hip hop, I went into like the conscious hip hop. So I would listen to Mos Def and Talib Kweli and Common, Pharoah Monch, and like Raucous Records, and like really like stuff that wasn't super mainstream, right? Like I was always enthralled by high lyrical content. And so when I started playing club music, I felt like I was a little dumber because club music is not always it serves its purpose, which is to party and to dance. It's not always for intellectual reflection, right?
Right, for sure.
So, and every music has its place, not to knock that one is better than the other. But what I started doing was making things hard for myself. So if the music is not intellectually stimulating for me, then the technical way that I'm doing the music has to be. So my advice to you is start making some edits, look for remixes, double up, push yourself in the technical aspect. So every time that you drop Pursuit of Happiness and that big synth comes in, start working on your little flicks on that fader.
Right.
You know, hit the echo, try to keep time. Make yourself busy and enjoy the songs that you might not enjoy regularly.
But that's the thing. I feel like we've all been doing that already with that record for 8 years already, bro.
Well,
you know, so like how much longer are we gonna dreams and nightmares ourselves? Like how much longer are we gonna Travis Porter? Okay, now ladies, how much longer are we gonna fucking
Everything has its place. You know, I would like to ask Donna Summer if she has a problem with us playing disco, because I'm sure she still loves those residuals and those royalties.
Right.
And that's a way older than the songs you mentioned.
Right. But that's why parties like what you just mentioned are emerging.
Sure.
Because there's nothing filling in these gaps of these old songs that people are. There's nothing to replace them
I hear
with,
you,
bro.
It's all within. I think it's within your power to control. Because if the song's bugging you, then find a way of playing it that makes it exciting for you. Because that's going to translate to the crowd.
Right.
When I find a remix that sounds dope of the same song I've been playing for 15 years, I go, damn, I can't wait to play this.
Right.
And that's exciting for me. And I build up, and then all of a sudden I'm in that spot and I play it. And now guess what? It's like new for me. Now people might not even know the difference that, you know, something's going off. That's my best. It's the artist's plight, honestly. It's like you look up at something that you know you could do better, but you're not in that space. It's like, damn. But what's missing isn't the fact that you can do it better. It's how to get to that platform that's elevated for all those people to see you.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you feel, so I felt like after the pandemic, I think pre-pandemic, the traveling thing was super cool. I think you were at your, do you feel like you're at your peak? I feel like you were.
I was probably at my, I mean, I think I say that I was at my peak. My wife's like, no, there's still more to come. I'm like, maybe, but you know, you're a victim of the market too.
Right. Well, yeah, you're Jordan who won 5 championships in a row. It's hard to be like, I'm not at my peak. So, and then it got super localized after the pandemic. And now it feels like it's starting to get back to kind of like the travel thing. Do you feel that way? Do you?
I don't know. I don't think that there's enough new venues for that to be true. I think that there has to be more investment in the sector. There has to be more clubs. I got called to a new club that was opening up in Michigan, in Shelby Township, which, by the way, here's another important note for everyone out there listening and watching in podcast world. Michigan has 2 Shelbys, Shelby, Michigan, and Shelby Township. One is near Chicago and one is near Detroit, and they're about 5 hours apart. It's important that you know which Shelby you're going to, because I didn't. And I flew into Chicago, and then I was getting in my rental car to go to Shelby Township, and I put the address in, and it said 5 hours and change to drive.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I said, oh, I fucked up. But anyway, new club opens up, and they contracted me, and they called another DJ from the agency, and we played, and they were like, yo, you guys are amazing. We love it. Right now, we're going to slowly build up the club, and we'll call you back, you know, after this grand opening weekend. So we need that to happen many, 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 many more times. Because let's say that this club in Michigan decides that they don't want more. They're like, oh, we're good with our locals, actually. We're having a great party. All right, so that cuts out the travel. That's it. It's gone. It's gone from the marketplace. Now, but we need to have enough clubs that where they find their formula and they go, actually, we're best when we have out of town DJs.
Yeah.
Like my spot in Boston that's been booking for years.
Right.
The booker and the owner and operator there prefers to have out of town DJs.
Do smaller markets, in your experience, prefer the added, like the Miami guy? That sounds
it's huge. Yeah. It's a marketing push because let's say that you provide to your people that go every week something new.
Right. Like Kansas City, you know, you go to a random club in Kansas City, it's like, oh shit, the Miami guy's here. We got to go. You know, maybe just him being from Miami is a big enough draw. Like
for the first couple of years when I started traveling, it was from Miami DJ Konflikt, not DJ Konflikt from Miami. The city was the selling point.
So how do you feel about the space we're in now? Like, what is your, I saw on the last podcast you mentioned volume. Uh, what are you planning for? Like, what is your strategy? You have your agency, it's moving. You post your graphic of all your guys, working all over the place. What is the strategy behind that? Like,
So
where's your mind?
that is marketing, right? Because a lot of it is outside of agency bounds. Those are professional DJs that have their own stuff in their own city, and we use it as marketing because we're basically elevating the team. Some weekends, if you look real close, like I might have only one Saturday because the Friday's off because I've chosen either not to work or there wasn't something with enough of a rate that I would accept. And other times there's some DJs that, are missing from that calendar, but it's usually stacked because we're working a lot of the time. That being said, they're not all agency gigs because they're professional DJs, right? But a lot of times they are agency gigs. So that in itself, just to pull the curtain, is marketing.
Right.
Right. Now, what do I see as far as volume? What do I see? Like, just to take an example here, DJ Mr. Shaw from Chicago has his own event production company. And this month, I think he's doing like 11 weddings and like 3 or 4 club gigs.
We can get into that type of talk too.
Sure.
Private.
So here's the deal, right? Where do you think he's making more money? Right.
Weddings for sure.
Of course. So that being said, he's still staying active in the clubs. And, he hit me up and he's like, yo, these are the dates that I have open in August. I'm like, let's lock in some Miami stuff. That's what I wanted as a responsibility. I did not want to take DJs that have nothing and build them because I know the amount of work that takes. And I don't think we're in the market for that.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do was be like, all right, let's put a team together. And whenever someone has extra, like if you have 5 hunters, I think I might have said this, you have 5 hunters that go out and 2 of them catch something, everybody gets to eat. Right? It's better than, one person going out getting nothing and staying hungry.
And then like you said, promoting it on the agency graphic as one big collective with all the gig.
If you want something done in Atlanta, it's DJ EU.
Right.
Voted #1 DJ in Atlanta 6 years or 7 years in a row. Right? Like turning down gigs because he's working sometimes multiple times per day. Right? If you need something in Chicago, Shaw's the guy. If it's the Northeast, RM is the man. Right? In Miami, I like me and Obscene try to handle as much as we can, even though the city's huge and there's lots of stuff to do. And in Vegas, Booz is doing his thing. Like we have DJs in every corner of the country, and that was handpicked by me for that reason. Because if a new club opens up in the Northeast, RM's like, hey boys, you guys ready?
Yeah.
When they want to come down to Miami and they want to, have a weekend off and go to the beach,
right?
They go, yo, this is my free week.
Like, all the DJs would assume they have that entrepreneurial mindset to where they're not just trying to get a gig for themselves. They're trying to get into the inner workings of the club to be able to program their own stuff, like with the people,
They had to be good DJs. They had to be friends or really good acquaintances of mine. And they had to be guys that did not need babysitting, that are bosses in their own city.
Right.
Like that's what I wanted to put together. We were talking, I'm sure you're going to splice the audio.
Yeah.
We were talking about the comfort that you had from having a residency for a lot of years that paid you good money and you didn't have to do regular work because it's regular work.
Like the Saturday's your main day of DJing is roped off with the highest amount of money you're making locally. And knowing in the back of your head, locally, you won't find that in your city higher.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, yeah, you might not find it, but you could make it. Like, I think you remember nightclubs are transitions in the world of entertainment. There are very few that last very long. Now, you being younger, you probably didn't look at it like, damn, I only have 5 to 8 years at this club before things go sideways. I better have other things going on. But that's the truth. It's just that when you're doing great, you're like, everything's great. What I learned halfway through my career was even when things are great, you have to be eyeing the exits because things can be great, but you might be on the Titanic.
Yeah, and with this DJ shit, like you lose 30% of your whole income in a day. Like when you could lose a gig
or more.
Right. 30, right. But then, you could make 30% off a phone call too. That just changes everything. So those peaks and valleys are super steep.
So I will tell you this, as somebody that's been in it for a really long time. Yeah, there are times where people will call you, but there are very few instances where I think anybody's career, open format DJs, they're calling you to give you money all the time. Like I have to make emails sound nice and reach out to bookers, and I have to make phone calls and send text messages. I've been in it 20 years, man. It has never been different for me except when I had an agent that did it for me.
I was gonna say, yeah. So did you kind of hit that same kind of like shock when you stopped, when you left your agency and you were like, oh damn, now I have to do this? Did that change at all?
No, bro, to be honest with you, ever since I started this, I just feel like I'm the longest episode of Punked ever. I would wake up some days in my apartment, down the street from here, and be like, yo, I wonder how much longer I can keep this going. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a fleeting career that would someday just abruptly stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always operated that way, like being thankful that I have it, working really hard to keep it, and continuously trying to grab more of it from every angle.
Right.
Podcasts, videos, posts, mentoring DJs, reaching out to bookers, trying to help nightclubs, giving ideas.
Right.
All that.
Yeah. And I always felt like that Saturday highest paying residency stopped me from potentially becoming the out of town guy and traveling. I feel like I sacrificed
It's possible.
travel gigs because I was so comfortable locally.
It's possible. Look,
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of different careers play out in different ways. DJ EU from Atlanta, I was on the phone with before I got here, and he's working every day, right? He's got like 45 gigs in May, and there's less dates than that, right?
Yeah.
He's the DJ for Atlanta United, voted #1 DJ in Atlanta 6 years in a row. If you're doing something there, you got to call him. He's turning down gigs. He turned down a gig recently, and they were like, they didn't understand. It's like, why are you saying no to this? This is good money. He's like, because I just don't want to do it, and it's not enough, right? So that being said, he stayed local and just worked that city, not the venue, not the club, he worked the city as a whole. While I was going out everywhere, he was working the city. So now
That's what I was at in 2022.
Sure. I look at my calendar, I look at his calendar. He's got his city on lock. And I'm like, all right, what, hey, Shelby Township in Michigan, or hey, Boston, or hey, Chicago. Like, what's up? Where you guys, what's going on? I'm trying to work my city rotations. At the same time, there's not a lot of things going on in Miami that I feel like are equivalent to what he's got going on over there. Like, Miami is too splintered. There's not enough.
Expound on that.
So I just feel like, where do I fit in this city? Like, as a product, I don't want to go to the high-end, high-stress section of town, right? Where you might have Bad Bunny walk in with Jennifer Lopez and you get, yelled at by somebody because you didn't play the right song at the right time. Not into that. You also I don't want to go play like smaller venues that have like a lower pay scale. So like, where do I fit in, right? I'm a prize fighter that's looking for somewhere to fight. And I don't see it in the city too often. Even the higher venues that are very well known, the gig rates are not what they used to be.
If we're being completely transparent, Conflict, this is just my perspective on it. I feel like the timing, this is just from what I've seen on the outside in regards to your career in Miami, I feel like in the opium days, right after the opium days, the style on the beach in those high-end clubs that you were doing, you started traveling. And when you started to travel, the style in Miami changed. And it turned into almost like a mic heavy, urbanish style that had to cater to clients on a microphone. And it was the opposite. There's two DJs. I might have type of DJs. I might have said this, but there's the WWE and the WCW. And they're both valuable, but they're completely different styles. And I just feel like the style in Miami changed away from your style. And the style amongst the rest of the country, especially the West Coast, is still your style. And you're the best in that federation. So I just feel like the style in Miami went away from your style. Does that make sense?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I get it. And here's a question we'll never know the answer to. Would that have changed? I think it would have changed anyway, whether I was here or not, and whether Joe Maz was here or not.
Right.
Who was another dude that was doing a lot of that Miami stuff.
Right.
I think that it just got to the point where the numbers started going down a long time ago, and they realized that one big spender can make or break the night. So it became catered to the one spender. It was, not about dancing, not about people, not about the experience. It's about getting one whale to do what he's got to do to make tonight successful.
Right. And if that one person on the microphone can hype up that one big whale to feel good about himself, then,
Would that have happened anyway? Probably. That being said, the style maybe that me from is different than what goes on in my sets everywhere else in the country, right? So and I think there's a misconception that
can you talk about the difference between those two styles and how you play Miami? Maybe.
Yeah, so it used to be that a lot of guys did not talk on the microphone. In a lot of higher end venues, it was seen as like, yo, don't talk on the mic, just play music. Like, what are you doing, right? Now,
you're killing like the class of the club, like
sure,
the luxury,
the luxury. Because why? Because you wouldn't trust somebody to be able to say things the way they're supposed to be said.
Right.
Hip hop carried into DJing the microphone and the MC. So it was seen as kind of like a hip hop element. And if you're playing mostly house music, you don't want people talking on the mic, right? So there's like a little bit of a difference. For example, which, music does this all the time. Like if you're putting together a hip hop album, you might not have a xylophone or an electric guitar on it doing an electric guitar solo. Like there's certain things that just don't go in.
Sonically don't go, right.
Right. So what I think is that the Beach had a very clear line where it was on one side, you play hip hop and you talk on the mic. On the other side, you might play more up-tempo house music and you don't really talk. That was the thing for a while. And then the lines got blurred, but it also happened when music just became more
trappy and hip hop.
Yeah, but it became more accessible. Maybe everyone was listening to music, and then young kids are always the first to hop on technology. So they were all on Spotify, and it became like, oh, let's listen to whatever's hot. And what became hot is hip hop. So, now you have to cater to the young people. So you play more hip hop, and then the microphone was more accessible, but you're also targeting the whale. Lots of different factors for sure. That being said, on the West Coast, microphones have always been a thing. Just like in New York.
You think so?
Oh yeah, bro.
I don't
listen. Let me
in
ask
Vegas, they're not rocking a mic how we do over here. I always say to myself, and correct me if I'm wrong, Compton, because I could be wrong, but I feel like if you take a DJ from this federation, like a Don Hot, or and you put him in Vegas or you put him in LA, they're gonna see something they've never seen before.
You're unfortunately completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. But here's the deal is that having been into all of these markets and played and listened to other guys play, think about this. Let's start from the beginning, right? If you're at a disco club and you only have one turntable, what do you do in between songs? This is 1974 and you're playing disco, but there's only one turntable at the venue, and you're at a what do you do when the song is done?
You have no choice but to talk.
Bingo. So microphones have always been around.
Right.
Right. So and the next one is brand new from Cheryl Lynn, and here's Got to Be Real.
Right.
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 Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Radio style. Yeah.
Here we go. Right at the club. Right. Or Russell Crowe, the actor, was a DJ. Like the guy from Gladiator? Yeah. So he talks about being a DJ and what he would do between songs whenever he saw a pretty girl. Like, and this one goes on to The Lady in the Red Dress. And he would play the song.
Jesus.
And then he would just be like, and just wait for her to come over and be like, hey, just play the song for me. Right? Microphone has always been around. It's just that for an era of time, South Beach was very Eurocentric. And it was like house centric. So like we didn't talk on the microphones because it had a lot of European people, and they're like, oh, that's ghetto.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not ghetto. It's just not what they were used to.
They're still not used to that, by the way.
Sure, whatever the fuck. Whoever, I'm not playing for Frenchie nowadays anyway, so I don't give a shit.
No,
but
my boy in Barcelona and Paris, he does a week train, a club gig twice in Paris, takes the train Barcelona, bounces back and forth, and he does hip hop parties like open for, and he does not touch the mic. I'm like, you don't. He's like, no, we don't do that here.
No, that's cool, man. And by the way, I'm not knocking. I was just trying to make a joke. I love French people if they pay me money. Yeah. So, the microphone gets touched everywhere, bro. And there's killer DJs on every coast. Have there been per capita better DJs in Miami at some point in time? For sure. New York had their moment. LA has
Who's
killers.
your favorite West Coast DJ that rocks the mic the best? That would, if you put him at Live on Friday, if you put him at one of the venues here, he would do well. I mean, for me, it's like, you got Dre Sinatra, he's good, but like, who do you see on the West Coast that could do that type of style?
So there's a lot of them, actually. Okay. And I would hate to leave any out. So let me just name, I'll guess if you're putting me on the spot. DJ Booza from Vegas can rock a venue, and he was playing live in Las Vegas, right? So he can play a venue out here if we're talking about microphone. DJ E-Rock is great. He's a radio personality. He's a great DJ as well. Eric Deluxe, DJ 5. You have Franzen, who was, I don't know if he still is or not, and all apologies, was a resident for Dre's. And, he's a classic DJ on the West Coast that everyone knows of out there. So I think the situation is that you might just be a little bit too removed and having
maybe because I haven't been to Vegas and LA in a minute, and when I was over there, it was like, bro, it felt like
you having always to work on the weekends, you don't get a moment to do market research and fly across the fucking country, spend a bunch of money to like go check it out. I'm telling you, there's killers.
Okay,
there's killers everywhere.
Okay,
there's also bad DJs everywhere.
Right, but
to think that like someone, don't get caught in that fallacy that no one can do what we do, because there's a lot of them that can, and they're not just in Vegas and on the West Coast, they're everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, this may be too much of a general question to ask you, but I think a Miami, let's just say Miami and then Vegas and LA. I think a Miami DJ will have an easier time DJing in Vegas and LA than an LA Vegas DJ would have DJing in Miami. Am I off in that?
No, I don't think you're off. I think it's also dependent on so many things: venue, crowd, night of the week, and also office politics. Because unfortunately, it does happen. I had not a residency, but I played on the West Coast a couple times, and I played at clubs where a lot of West Coast DJs went out too. And it worked for a while, and then all of a sudden there was a big block. And what I think happened is that some of the DJs were just like, yo, you have guys here. Like, why are you booking this East Coast guy all the way to come over here? Right? And it had nothing to do with my performance. Right? It just had to be like, yo, me and the club owner went to high school. I'm a DJ. And we all got in his ear. And then he just decided to go with local cats. That's the business.
Yeah.
No problem. But so by what metric are we saying that they're going to kill it? I don't know, because they might do a good job on the dance floor. And then one manager goes, he was kind of shit. And he never gets booked again.
Okay, so would you say I'm off in this? It feels like in Miami, we have to know a larger array of music.
Yeah, for sure. The international crowd here, you have to know Spanish. You got to know the islands. You have to know like European. Right. You have to know a lot of different stuff.
Spanish, like what
subgenres,
like,
what country.
Right.
Yeah. No, we're from Venezuela. Like, what are you doing? Right. It's like, oh shit, wrong country. Well, but the same applies to the West Coast, because I guarantee you that there's 4 or 5 songs that pop off,
and I've never heard them.
And you've never heard them.
Yeah.
So that goes both ways.
Yeah. Okay, shit. Konflikt, I've had you here for a minute. Is there anything you want to promote? Hold on. Anything else I want to touch on? Real quick, let's just spend a little bit of time outside of the DJ world. We shoot guns sometimes. Florida shit. Yeah, we got to do that again, by the way. When's the last time you shot?
I haven't shot in a while because I bought a house last year, and I've just been, all my free times have either been like trying to figure my life out or working on the house.
Okay. So just outside of, career DJ stuff, just fixing up the house, family man, sleeping twice.
Yeah, I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to leave my biphasic sleeping. I want to try to get full nights of sleep.
Bro, I feel like I've been doing 3 a.m. to, once I have a family, that's going to change, but I've been doing 3 a.m. to 11 a.m.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's great, but I can't do that because I have to be up at 7 a.m. for school.
Yeah.
So my sleep has been 2 to 7.
7 a.m. to take the kids to school?
Yeah. And then I'm back home by 8:39, and then I take a nap from 9 to 12, and then 12 to 2. So I do get 5 hours between 2 and 7, and then 3 from 9 to 12. So I get my 8, but I think that fractured sleep is, I'm going to try to do it one block of 8 hours and see how I feel.
See how it goes. Yeah, I don't know, man. I might have to just move to DR, bro. My girl, bro, they have a nanny with the kid Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and they pay the nanny $200 a month. Crazy.
That's beautiful, man. Let me tell you something. There's an island just off the coast of La República Dominicana, and it's called Puerto Rico. And you don't need a passport to go there. And as an American citizen, you don't pay taxes if you live there for more than 6 months out of the year. And if you find the right spot there, the cost of living will be low, and if you find the right money there, you might have a good time, and you don't have to necessarily move internationally. I'm not trying to deter you by any means, but I was just in Puerto Rico for like a day, and it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. What else conflict could we touch on real quick? The travel gigs, outside of DJing, you ordered a bunch of meat, shipping in red meat. Yeah. How much steak are you eating a week? Are you calculating that? Are you?
So I think I've been overeating, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think that I'm trying to. It's hard because when you focus on so many, my life is basically just like, how do I make money? How do I be a good dad? How do I be a good husband? Those are, and how to be a good
Stay
son.
Healthy.
Well, that's kind of like built into the system.
Okay.
Like an on-off button. It's like I wake up and I know don't touch sugar. Like don't fucking, try not to go off the fucking rails.
Mm-hmm.
But so, how much steak am I eating? I think I've been overeating because I might have like a ribeye for lunch, right? So you're talking about like 12, 13 ounce steak.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm realizing that I don't need all that. I could probably cut that in half and be all right. And so I haven't played with portion sizes yet.
Well, your muscle synthesis, you can only process like 50 grams of protein.
I think that's debated.
Okay.
I think that I think that's kind of what we believe and accept, but I think some people are debating it. I'm not smart enough to know either way. But man, I sometimes will consume more than that. But that being said, I'm gonna start. I bought a bunch of meat from a local farm here in Florida, just to kind of play with my portion sizes and see how much to have.
Are you talking about overeating in general or overeating just red meat?
Just overeating red meat, honestly.
Right.
Yeah, and maybe
I
even
think about that too.
Maybe in general as well.
How many days a week are you eating red meat?
4 to 5.
That's where I'm at. I think about it. Do I need to do blood work?
Oh, I mean, I honestly, I'll do blood work as well. My cholesterol is slightly high.
But that's debated too, right? The LDL, that's another whole thing.
That's another one that's
like
debated.
LDL, like if you're metabolically healthy and your BMI is on, you're not carrying around too much fat, then it's to be debated. Like, you know, it's tough. I eat a lot of red meat too.
I think it just really comes down to, as long as your markers that you and your doctor agree on are stable, meaning that's not like consecutively going up. Like if every time you check your cholesterol, it's higher and higher and higher and higher, there might be a problem.
Trends, you're saying.
But but if I think this is what I've discussed with my doctor, like if things are stationary, like, so what is it that I carry? Oh, I carry high red blood cell count.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always like at the line or slightly above it, but I feel okay. So what do? I donate blood every like 3 months and then I'm fine.
Right.
But I'm always above the threshold. My doctor's like,
it's just your baseline is above the threshold.
My doctor's like, look, as long as it doesn't keep climbing, if it stays there, then maybe you'll be okay. He's not like, you're going to be okay. He's like, maybe you'll be okay. If anything, if it starts developing into something else, we can figure it out. But so I think individually, there's no general pocket for health or what someone should eat.
Right.
I mean, everyone's got to figure out that on their own.
For me, I haven't done it in a minute, but the last blood work I did, they say look at ApoB instead of LDL. My ApoB was really high. So I eliminated 2 things. I eliminated smoking weed, and which I didn't smoke a lot anyway, but I just eliminated that, and I started doing cardio, like zone 2 steady state hour-long cardio, like 2-3 times a week. Redid my blood work, didn't change my diet, still ate a shitload of red meat, redid my blood work, and it dropped 20 points.
Yeah, man.
Just off those 2 changes.
I'm telling you right now, I'm going to go rejoin my Muay Thai gym because I haven't been there for like this year that I've been working on the house. Mm-hmm. I've been treating the housework as cardio. Mm-hmm. But really, I have to get back to it because I feel like I'm losing a little bit of a step, like in my agility and my quickness. So I don't want that to go too far. I want to bring it back as soon as I can. And I'm telling you that steady state cardio, or just cardio in general on a regular basis, is the ticket to fix so many problems.
Yeah.
So many problems.
Yeah. I noticed a big difference in me. And then I go to the point, damn, but I don't have enough time in general, so I'm going to end up lifting less. So I'm just like, let me keep the protein at the right level, gram per pound of body weight, and I won't lose muscle. I'm still going to work out, but I'm more like, I'm going to lift 3 days a week, and I did it for 2 weeks already, just straight full body 3 days a week, and not compartmentalize muscles in my workouts, and do cardio twice a week, lifting 3 days a week. That's where I'm at right now, and I love the cardio, man. Cardio is just the way I feel is
I
10
bet,
times
because your
better,
heart,
bro.
you're working out your heart, man, and your heart is like feeling good. Like, for example, when I do legs and then all of a sudden I have to lift a bunch of stuff up the stairs in a couple of weeks, and I go, damn, it's a lot easier than it was last time. You know, that's your heart.
My parents, so both of my parents were on blood pressure medicine,
Sure.
and I've had high blood pressure, like them, and I'm like, damn, is this in my genes? And uh, years before the pandemic, doctor prescribed me blood pressure medicine. I get the shit, and I look at the bottle. I'm like, I'm not taking this, bro. And then I started implementing cardio, and I went to the doctor, and I've never had, because blood pressure is typically inflated at doctor's offices. I've never had regular blood pressure at a doctor's appointment. And after doing cardio, my blood pressure was like way 15 to 20 points than what I usually see it at the doctor's office. And I could directly correlate that to running. And then I'm here like, damn, maybe if my mom and dad did steady state cardio, they wouldn't have to been on blood pressure medicine their whole life.
I think that's accurate for so many people.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think you have to choose between lifting and cardio. There's stuff in the middle, dude. There's CrossFit. There are things that implement the elevated cardio heart rate and muscle at the same time. Instead of maybe going to the gym and doing stuff on your own, elliptical or whatever you do or running, find a gym that does CrossFit.
Right. Or sometimes I'll when I lift, I'll do circuit. So it'll be like high intensity, lifting.
And I think it's important also to have your heart rate monitor.
Yeah.
After a certain age, if you're like in your 30s, like heart rate monitor is important. So and also learning about zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, like what your maximums are, where you feel good after a workout. Hey man, am I paying attention to how I feel? Like all of those things you should have dialed in if you're trying to have a healthy life.
Well, so one of the main markers is all the studies have been is VO2 max. Based on your VO2 max, that is an indicator for basically overall health. And now if you wanted to measure your VO2 max, you had to go on a treadmill. They put a mask on you, and it was a whole process at a fucking doctor. They strap you to machines and shit. But they just came out with one that's reliable that you just put a mask on at the crib, and you could do it at the crib, and it measures it right there, bro.
Oh, send me a link. I'd love to do it.
I haven't checked it out yet, but I just saw Peter Atia, who's somebody that I follow and trust. His content is about longevity, that he just endorsed it. It just came out, and I got to check it out. But yeah, to be able to measure your VO2 max at home is a game changer. So that's something I'm on.
Stay healthy, kids.
Yeah, there to movement. Get your steps in. Conflikt, thank you for pulling up, brother. Plug your social media. Everyone knows it. My favorite DJ.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And if you guys like disco, check out Goodnight John Boy in Delray. And I guess disclaimer, I am an investor in that as well. So if you
How long was your set?
What do you mean?
Like how many hours you got to play disco for?
Oh, well, we're breaking the sets up into 2 shifts on Friday and Saturday. It's from 8 to 11 and 11 to 2.
Do you need a Casey and the Sunshine Band dub plate?
Listen, the first thing I said when someone's, was like, yo, we're going to have John Boy and Delray. I was like, I know someone that knows Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band.
That's hilarious, bro. That's fucking hilarious. Conflikt.
Which, hold on. When you had your birthday and you had a bunch of DJs at that venue.
Oh, yeah, you did meet him. That's right.
And you had Casey from Casey and the Sunshine Band. You're like, hey, you want to meet Casey? And I said, I absolutely fucking do want to meet Casey. And I went up to him and I said, hello. I was like, I've only been starstruck twice. Once with Dave Chappelle and right now. It's a pleasure to meet you. You're awesome.
Bro, he's like 70, like on the road doing like fucking 80 shows a year, bro. Crazy. Doing twirls and dances and shit. Like he never used to dance in his prime. Now he's dancing and
getting that fucking zone 2 cardio in, boy.
Hell yeah. Miami on the Rocks, DJ Konflikt. Bow.
KC Chops, boy.